Welcome back to the Word on Pop Culture podcast. I'm Julian Spivey, the creator and editor of the Word on Pop Culture. You can find us online at thewordonpopculture.com. Please give us a like, rating, review, or share wherever you're listening from. I'm joined today by Tyler Glover, a frequent contributor to both the website and this podcast. Thanks for joining me again tonight, Tyler.
Yes, I'm excited to be here.
So last year, Tyler and we did an episode where we announced what our Song of the Year nominees would be if we had a vote for the Grammy Awards. It was a fun episode, so I figured that we'd give it another go, and who knows, maybe it'll become an annual episode for us. So the 2026 Grammy Award nominations are going to be revealed on Friday, November 7th, so just right around the corner. And then the 68th annual ceremony will be held on February 1st, 2026. So it seems like the last few years there have been 8 nominees for Song of the Year. So Tyler and I are going to go down our lists and we'll just do one at a time, giving what our ballot would look like if we had a vote for the Grammy Awards Song of the Year category. Tyler, you want to get started?
Yes, sounds great.
All right, what would you have first on your ballot?
So, the first one I'm going to start with like what would probably be my winner of the
Okay.
category. So my winner for this category would be Twilight Zone by Ariana Grande. So last year, one of my hopeful nominations was for "We Can't Be Friends" to be nominated for Song of the Year, and it didn't get nominated. And at the time, I was like, "Well, this is my favorite Ariana Grande song. Like, I would love to see it nominated." And what's crazy is, like, she literally the year after put out the song that now I think is her best song. I was trying to when I was preparing for this podcast, I literally was like trying to I was literally looking at specific lyric examples where I was like, oh, this is the lyric that's going to showcase what a great song this is. And then I was like almost putting the entire song lyrics down because there's just so many good ones. It's like, hope you win for best actor because I had you completely wrong. Does she know you're not who you say you are? Because I might give her a call. It's just such a beautiful song about because I one of the main lyric that I think is so great is where she goes, "It's not that I miss you, I don't. I just can't believe that you happened," and it's just so crazy because it's you know. She says, "I hope you win for best actor because I had you completely wrong." It's just such a surreal thing. It's like she can't believe, that she got to love a person that way, that she believed that it was real, that it's over. It's just so many mixed emotions going into one thing, to the surreal Twilight Zone kind of feeling. And it's just such a great song. And it's one of my most listened to songs for this past year. I think it was in my top 10 so far for the past 12 months.
Nice. What I try to do with this each year is I get fed up, and of course, longtime listeners of the podcast are gonna remember this. I get fed up with each year where this is the Grammy Awards. It's supposed to be the best in music, and it's supposed to be the best in all of music. And yet, when it comes to Song of the Year, over the last few years, it's been more and more just pop songs with maybe a hip hop song or two thrown in. And last year's winner was actually a hip hop song, Kendrick Lamar's "Not Like Us," uh, which was a rarity for the Grammy Awards. But I feel like they just have forgotten that country music and rock music are genres of music and popular genres of music, especially when it comes to country music, which may still be the number one format in the country as far as radio stations go. So I always try to pick one pop song, one hip hop song, one country song, one rock song, and then fill in the rest of my ballot with whatever else I find to be the best of the year. I do think this is a weak year for music in general. I was going through the submissions for Song of the Year category, and there just weren't that many that completely excited me, even ones that have made my ballot. So I feel like it's a weak year. I'll start off with my pop song, and I'm going to go with "Relationships" by the group Haim. And this song was written by Alana Haim, Danielle Haim, Esty Haim, Josiah Sherman, Ariel Reichshad, Rostam Batmangli, and Tobias Jessa Jr. I'm sure I mispronounced some of those names, and I apologize for that. But "Relationships" is off Haim's latest album, "I Quit." And it sees the Haim sisters, which are Danielle, Alana, and Esty, focusing on relationships. Of course, that's what it's called, and how hard they are. I understand this is not a new theme. I understand that the Haim sisters don't really have a new take on this theme. Uh, and it's also not as good as some of my personal favorite Haim songs are, including one that was nominated a few years ago called The Steps. But these girls, I like these girls. I like this band, and I needed a pop representation on my list. And I figured that "Relationships" probably would not be a pop song that you're going to find on Tyler's list tonight. I know his ballad is mostly pop songs, but I figured this would give you something listening to the podcast that you probably wouldn't find on Tyler's ballad. So my first song, my pop representation, is "Relationships" by Haim. What's next on your list, Tyler?
Well, I do want to say I did forget to tell the writers to the Twilight Zone thing. So I will say that the lyricist was just Ariana Grande for that. So that was self written by for as far as the lyrics. But I'll go to my next one. So this would be my if I'm kind of doing it in the order of like a preferential ballot, kind of like how I would
Okay.
go 1, 2, 3. So my next one that if it wasn't Twilight Zone, the next one that I would choose is The Subway by Chappell Roan. And it was written by Chappell Roan and Dan Nigro. It's just such a Chappell Roan is just somebody that's like such an exciting artist to me. Like, she obviously she won Best New Artist last year. She should have won, in my opinion, should have been the winner for Best Song of the Year for Good Luck Babe, in my opinion. But I love how she's just such a fantastic storyteller with the way that she tells stories. Like and it can even be about things like that have been it's kind of retreaded, like it's been done before, but she finds new ways to make it like so interesting and like make it feel new and fresh and exciting. And The Subway is just such, I mean, like every time I see it, every time I hear it, I just get so engrossed into this story of like, she's, of like, relationships that end, and like you see people on the subway that look like your ex, and, or you might even actually see like, actually see your ex. But it's like, even if you're not seeing your ex, there's just things that like, bring back that hurt and that pain. And like, it takes you time to get over that. And she just has such a, like, one thing I love about that song is that towards the end of the song, she's saying, she's got away. And then she switches it to she got away. Like, I love how that switch happens. And it's just such a beautiful, heartbreaking song. And Chappell Roan just has like she's so great with her lyricism, and like also just like she starts off so subdued, and like that she hits a powerhouse note at the end. Just such a beautiful song. And I really hope she wins a Song of the Year one day, because I felt like she deserved it last year and literally should be my second choice this year. So I hope one day she gets this award.
Yeah. All right. So I whittled the hip hop song of the year submissions down to two favorites. I've got Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA, and then Anxiety by Doechii. And I kind of had a feeling, I know you like Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA, Tyler. So I had a feeling that it might appear on your ballot, which is kind of allowing me to go elsewhere. And why not? So, uh, why not go with an artist discussing anxiety, which is something we all experience, but I believe rarely are strong enough to talk about, let alone record a song about. Doechii's Anxiety samples the Goche and Kimbra Grammy winning Somebody That I Used to Know to great effect as she raps over it. It was a song that was added as a bonus track to her Alligator Bites Never Heal album, and it became her first top 10 hit this year. I believe it went to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. And I don't believe there's ever been a solo female rapper nominated in the Song of the Year category. So I'm going to put Anxiety by Doechii on my ballot. What do you have next?
So next is another exciting one. So I agree with you actually that this was kind of a weak year for music overall though. Like I had, it's kind of like one of those situations where I feel like this year would almost justify like a top 5 instead of a top 8. Because I know I had like 5 that I was like, yes, and then like this is what I want. And like then those last 3 I kind of struggled on a little bit. Um but this third one I'm really excited about because it is Golden by Huntrix from the K-pop Demon Hunters movie. I love it when situations happen like it happened with that movie where I literally like there's hype going around it and I just don't buy into it and I don't do anything about it. I don't watch it. Like everybody around me is like watch it. And I'm just thinking, no, I'm not gonna like it. And then, my daughter one day finally cornered me and got me to watch it and then just fell in love with the movie more. I will say I fell in love more with the soundtrack. And Golden is the best song on the album and it's even went number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Just such a great song. I really feel like it has a great shot of getting a nomination even for Best Original Song at the Oscars and even has a slight chance of winning. I don't know that I see it winning. I feel a nomination is almost certain, but I don't know if it would win. I think it stands a chance though. But I absolutely love this song. love how it's kind of, you know, a retread of I feel like it's kind of like a pop song that could almost feel generic, but it's so good. Like it doesn't even I don't even know how to explain that, but it's just so good. And like I every time it comes on, me and my daughter are just screaming in the car.
You have the songwriters for this one?
Oh, I forgot about that one. Oh yes, here it is. It's EJ, Mark Sodenblick, 24, Ito, and Teddy.
Okay. So I actually have a couple of rock songs on my ballot this year, but we'll go with the one that I like the most. Um, and it's "Who Believes in Angels" by Elton John and Brandy Carlisle. It was written by Brandy Carlisle, Elton John, Bernie Taupin, and Andrew Watt. And I understand if people scoff at this as an inclusion of being a rock song. It's off their collaborative album that is Brandy Carlisle and Elton John's collaborative album of the same name, "Who Believes in Angels." I get it if you don't think it's a rock song. I even believe that the song has been submitted in the pop categories by these artists. But both Brandy Carlisle and especially Elton John classify or qualify as rockers to me. So here I am with it. And sorry if it isn't hardcore enough for your tastes. But "Who Believes in Angels" sees Carlisle's soaring vocals as usual and blending a blending vocal with Elton John that may not be perfect, but it works for me, the listener. And it's also amazing to see Carlisle getting to collaborate with one of her idols in Elton John. Um, when I heard that Carlisle and John were going to Elton John were going to collaborate for an album, I got pretty pumped. It didn't quite turn out to be as good as I had hoped. That is the album. Uh, it's probably a little weaker than each of their own solo outputs, but I still believe "Who Believes in Angels" to be a fantastic song, and it has made my ballot. What do you have next on yours?
So actually, my next one is one that you brought up earlier. Luther by Kendrick Lamar featuring SZA would be my fourth choice. And it is written by. It actually has quite a bit of writers. It's written by Kendrick Duckworth, Selena Rowe, Atia Boggs, Samuel Dew, Scott Bridgeway, Mark Spears, Jack Antonoff, who I absolutely love, Kamasi Washington, Matthew Bernard, Rashida Baca, and Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, that's
Um,
far too many songwriters for one
yes,
3 minute song.
a lot. But I love this song, and I so I kind of have a little bit of a connection to this song because of the the Luther in the song is from Luther Vandross, who is one of my favorite vocalists of all time. I remember my mom was married to a guy for years that kind of had a lot of influence in my upbringing, and he loved Luther Vandross, and we used to listen to Dance with My Father all the time.
Hmm.
And I just have that connection with this. But they sample "If This World Were Mine" in this song, and I just love how they do it. Like I love how they tell this beautiful love song with where they're talking about how what they would do this about how if the world were theirs, like they would pretty much give their lover the world, and it's just so romantic, so sweet. I actually heard this song because my son loves Kendrick Lamar, and I heard him listening to it one day in his room, and he told, and I was like, "Wait, what is this?" And he told me, and like we got to listen to it, and now it's one that we've played, which I didn't realize. I was looking it up, and I didn't realize this, but it went number one for 13 weeks, consecutive weeks,
Wow.
and it became both Kendrick Lamar and SZA's longest running chart topper.
Yeah, I don't think any of the songs that I have mentioned so far are locks to be Song of the Year nominee. I don't even think any of the ones you've mentioned so far are locks to be a Song of the Year nominee, maybe Golden. But I can say with near 100% certainty that Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA is going to be a lock to be nominated for Song of the Year when they come out on Friday.
Hmm.
And again, Kendrick Lamar is the reigning winner of the Song of the Year category, so his chance he could make it 2 years in a row. Um, I have a few country songs on my ballot, but the my favorite one is the one I'm going to talk about now. Uh, and it is a song called "I Never Lie" by Zach Top, and it was written by Zach Top, Carson Chamberlain, and Tim Nichols. It was actually one of my favorite country songs of 2024. It even ranked at number 5 on my annual Best Americana and Country Songs list that I do on the Word on Pop Culture website annually. Um, it's an amazing throwback to the best of the neo-traditionalist sound of the early 1990s. It's sarcastic. The lyrics are sarcastic, with a man bumping into an old love and lying about how his life has been terrific ever since she left. And it just reminds me of something that Tracy Lawrence or Mark Chestnut would have knocked out of the park maybe 30 years ago in mainstream country. Zach Top's kind of bled over a little bit into mainstream country, but probably not quite enough, or at least yet. But I think "I Never Lie" was definitely uh one of the best country songs that has come out in the last few years. And honestly, out of these 8 nominees on my ballot, if I were to choose one that I would most like to see win Song of the Year, it would be "I Never Lie" by Zach Top. But it's a country song. It is highly unlikely to get a nomination in the all genre Song of the Year category. What do you have next, Tyler?
Okay, so my next one is "Man-Child" by Sabrina Carpenter, and it's written by Sabrina Carpenter, Amy Allen, and Jack Antonoff. And I will say, I think that this, it's one of her stronger singles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like, I feel like the production is just as good as all of her main hits, like "Please, Please, Please," "Espresso," and "Taste." But I feel like the lyrics are like a little stronger. Um, so I think
I don't agree that it's stronger than "Please, Please, Please," but it's a lot of fun.
yes, yes, yeah, and "Please, Please, Please, Please" would probably be the one that I would say it would rival the most. If because I feel like that one was written pretty well.
Yeah,
Um,
I think "Please, Please, Please" is the best she's done so far in her early career,
yes, yes, and like I
and it
just
was the Song of the Year
love.
nominee last year.
Yes, yes, yes. And so one thing I love about this song is she really chose it like it was the perfect lead single for her Man's Best Friend album, because I really feel like it encapsulates pretty much what the album's about, because I mean pretty much all of the songs on the entire album are pretty much her dealing with a man child, and that's the reason why she's having the issues she's having. So it really is like a really good song to really just define the album, honestly. And she just really knows how to write these hits that um just really just like resonate, I feel like. And like I mean that just make you want to come back. I've listened to this song all the time. And it's just I don't know. It's like even with the album coming out and there being some other songs on there, I still feel like she did such a great job with the lead single because it's one of the strongest songs on the album.
Yeah, who did she write Man Child with?
It was Amy Allen and Jack Antonoff.
I believe Amy Allen is had a lot of hits this year, and she's probably going to be one of the strong candidates for Songwriter of the Year at the Grammys. I All right, so basically I've got my genre qualifications that I always place upon myself out of the way. So the next four are just going to be songs that I either really like or I didn't like so much, but they were better than the other submissions that I saw. One that I'm really high on though is "Bury Me" by Jason Isbell, which was written solo by Jason Isbell. And Isbell has been one of my I won't even say one of. Isbell has been my favorite singer songwriter over the last 10 to 15 years. And even though he's critically acclaimed, very much so, he still feels like an artist who's flown under the radar to me. He's won 6 Grammys over the years, all in the American Roots categories, though. But I am actually surprised that he's never been able to break through into the all genre categories of Song of the Year or especially Album of the Year once or twice. I can't believe he hasn't made it. And I don't think that's going to happen this year either. But "Bury Me" off of his stripped down acoustic Foxes in the Snow album is my choice. The album is essentially Isbell's divorce album, and "Bury Me" sees him burying his past and starting anew. Uh, I think that there are a handful of songs on the album that are probably better and would have been better suited to being submitted, but "Bury Me" was his first single off the album, and so I guess it just made sense for him to submit that one. So that's "Bury Me" by Jason Isbell. What's next for you, Tyler?
Okay, so my sixth choice would be Abracadabra by Lady Gaga. And it's written by Lady Gaga, Andrew Watt, Henry Walter, Susan Janet Ballion, Peter Edward Clark, Stephen Severin, and John McGeoch. I think that's how you say it, McGeoch. Um, but I really like this one, and this one, for me is like it's exciting because like it has such a strong music video that literally like every time I hear the song I think of the music video, and that's one thing she's always really great at is making very iconic music videos. But the song just has like an amazing production to it, and I just love that she is able to continue like to find ways to have like these really catchy pop songs with having some sort of deep meaning in it, like facing the reality of life and trying to find the magic in life being so hard. And I love that she's able to do that. And the song, honestly, when I first heard it, it reminds me of like because she's ventured off where she hasn't kept like her Lady Gaga persona. Like when she did like Joanne, it was very more stripped back, and she's had her like her albums with like Tony Bennett that were less what she was used to putting out. And this one like felt like just like it really felt like when I heard it, I felt like it was kind of like a transporting me back to the very beginning of her career, like the kind of music she was making right at the beginning. But it also feels like it belongs in 2025 as well. And I
Yeah.
just love how she is able to do that, like stay true to herself and like make it still fresh and still current and still relevant. Like I love that she's able to do that.
Yeah, it was a sound that people loved from her early career, and then she's kind of brought it back. The "Abracadabra" has a very much so has a Bad Romance Poker Face vibe to it.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
song that I put on my Halloween playlist this year, and I listened to quite a bit in the last few weeks. I kind of liked her stripped down stuff, like the Joanne album, but I do think it's nice to see her get back to this
yes,
style
yes.
of pop music. Next on my list is a song called "Trailblazer" by Lainey Wilson, Miranda Lambert, and Reba McEntire. It was written by Brandy Clark, Lainey Wilson, and Miranda Lambert, and it's quite a tribute to all the fabulous female country singers who have come before. Wilson, Lambert, and Clark and kind of paved the way for their award winning careers. And the fact that Wilson and Lambert get to collaborate on this record with Reba McEntire kind of adds to the wonderfulness of it. They name check some of the greats that came before them and helped to get them there, like Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton, and Tammy Wynette. And then in the song, Lambert and Wilson are essentially handed the throne from McIntyre. So it's just a really great. This is the paved road we've had to get where we are, and it's just a really great tribute to all the great women of country music, and sung by a couple of the great women of country music today. What do you have next?
So my next choice is it's called "I'd Rather Lie" by Playboy Cardi and The Weeknd, and it's written by Jordan Carter, Abel Tesfaye, Mark Williams, Raul Cabina, Richard Ortiz, Jared Morgan, Julian Lopez, Kobe Hood, and Devin Chisholm. And so I really like this one. I'm really honestly excited that The Weeknd is submitting his stuff again.
Yeah, it was kind of a
I
shock.
Yeah, it really was. I but I and I completely stood beside him and behind him and completely understood why he did, because the his After Hours album should have won album of the year, and Blinding Lights should have won record and song of the year. There was no song that was bigger than that song that year. And he kind of, made us took a stand, because there were like these, committees at the time that were choosing these nominations and stuff, and he just did not, there was no transparency, is pretty much what he said. And and it just made no sense. It was the biggest song of the year. And so I completely understood where he came from in that. But I'm so glad that he's submitting again, and I really love this song. He also did submit "Timeless," which I know is probably the more fan favorite of the two choices. I just prefer this one more. I really like how it feels like a tortured love letter, because he's literally saying, "I'd rather lie than lose you," and it's kind of like singing this to this person. It's kind of like the weirdest compliment almost to give somebody, because it's like, I love you so much that I'm going to lie to you, and I'm not going to own up to my mistakes, but it's because I love you so much. And I just love that notion. And it's funny, and I think it's funny, and but it's such a good song. It's sung with such sincerity, but I just love it.
Yeah. Um, it'd be interesting to see if he's nominated after he kind of put them on a bit of a strike, if you will, for the last few years. But again, it's a different leaders of the Grammy Awards, different voting bodies. So I don't think anybody's going to really hold anything against them.
Yeah.
Next on my list is a song called "I Don't Know How to Say Goodbye." Bang Bang Boom Boom by Dwight Yoakam and Post Malone, and is written by Dwight Yoakam. I did not care much for Post Malone's country album, but he collaborated with one of my all-time favorite country performers in Dwight Yoakam on Yoakam's late 2024 album Brighter Days. And it's an old school country weeper. I don't know how to say goodbye. Bang Bang Boom Boom, and damn it if it doesn't sound terrific. I think the difference is that Yoakam wrote this song, and he would be the nominated songwriter, whereas on Post Malone's album, it was written by the same crappy country music mainstream writers who've been ruining mainstream country music for many, many years now. So when Post Malone, the one thing about him is he has a great respect for the kind of country music that he grew up listening to, and the kind of country music that I grew up listening to and adore. But when he's recording it himself, when he's recording original songs, he doesn't quite have that sound. But when he is with somebody he admires, like Dwight Yoakam, doing a Dwight Yoakam song, it does work for me. So that's "I Don't Know How to Say Goodbye," Bang Bang Boom Boom by Dwight Yoakam and Post Malone. We're down to your last choice, Tyler. What do you have?
Okay, so I will say, out of all of my choices, this is the one that I don't expect to see at all. Like, I legitimately feel like the first seven, like I could see us
There's a
shocked
chance.
there being a chance.
I don't know about the Weekend Playboy Cardi song, but there's a
Yeah,
really good chance that all the ones you've chosen so far do get nominated on Friday.
yeah,
Whereas
and
I don't think there's a single song. Maybe the Doechii song, maybe the Haim song, maybe the Brandy Carlisle Elton John song, but I could easily go 0 for 8 on my ballot. But again, this is not who we're predicting. This is who we would choose.
Yes, yes, it's true. Yeah, and this
So,
was,
so
and
I'm
yeah,
not
and he's
I'm not
definitely,
worried about going 0 for 8 personally.
yeah, yeah, and like, and even with me, like I, chose these because I love them, like,
Hmm.
because this last one though, I feel like definitely has I would be floored if it was nominated. It's called Ojos Tristes by Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco.
Hmm.
And it's written by Selena Gomez, Benny Blanco, Maria Zardoya, Josh Conway, Manuel Alvarez Perez, and Amanda Ibanez. And I will say this album is one that I've went back to a lot this year, and I love it because it's like, it's not in the, like a lot of, I mean, listeners on here know that like the artist of my life is Taylor Swift. So I
Hmm.
live for like blockbuster albums, and I don't
And
think
I
she
think
doesn't
this,
have an album that isn't blockbuster albums. Um,
Tyler, hold on one
but this,
second.
yes,
I think this is an important time since you mentioned Taylor Swift to mention that her album is not eligible this year.
yes, it's not. And if it was, Fate of Ophelia would have been number one on my list.
Okay, Opalite is the better song on that album. But
Yes, it
go on,
is.
go on with your Selena Gomez Benny Blanco song.
Yes, absolutely. But yes, listeners, if she was eligible, she would be on my list. She'd
Yeah,
be
if
the
she
number
was,
one choice.
I guess I guess we didn't really need that caveat for listeners because if she was eligible, Tyler would have mentioned her 78 times by now.
Yes, and found ways to incorporate all kinds of references. Um,
All right, sorry for
Back to
interrupting you.
Selena Gomez.
Back to Ojos Tristes.
Yes. So one thing, like just saying, like I normally love blockbuster albums, and this album that Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco did together called "I Said I Love You First." It came out in March, and I go back to it so often during the year. It's just such a sweet and genuine, and just it's more of a quiet romantic album, but it is just so good. Like there are so many songs on it I love, and like every time I go back, I end up finding another one that I'm more obsessed with than I was the time before. But this song particularly, I love so much. I love how they able to blend English and Spanish together so much that who both audiences can appreciate the songs. I do speak enough Spanish that I do know most of what they're saying. Um, even when they're speaking Spanish in this one, so I think it does make me appreciate it a little more. Um, but I just love how sweet it is. It's just basically about loving someone. It's that situation of loving someone and them not being able to be with you, but it not being because they don't want to be. Those situations in life where the world's just cruel and doesn't let you be together in a way. And it just really tugs on the heartstrings. And like they even like have towards the end of the song they even like have them reunite later on years later where you think there's a chance of them getting together and they don't, and it's so sad. But I mean Ojos Tristes translate to sad eyes, so I mean it's obviously a sad song, but
Hmm.
but you get that little bit of hope and it just tears you up even more.
All right. Well, the final song on my Grammy Song of the Year ballot, if I got to choose, is one called "Wristwatch" by M.J. Linderman, written by M.J. Linderman. I actually saw M.J. Linderman perform at Shoals Fest near Muscle Shoals, Alabama last month. And while I find him to be a terrific guitar player, his indie rock songs, they didn't really speak too much to me. I actually found him kind of weird. And he reminds me of like a modern day Beck, who Beck's had success with the Grammys before though. Uh, the songs, however, they were definitely speaking to those younger than me in the audience. So he's definitely got himself a nice following. But I am going to include Wristwatch, one of a couple of his songs that have grown on me on this ballot, which again, it kind of says how I feel about the submissions in general this year. But the song off his critically acclaimed 2024 album, Manning Fireworks. It's a jangly guitar, mumbly vocal about a relationship, which seems to maybe be on the skids, and it's done in a sarcastic lyrical tone. But there's some good lines in this one by MJ Linderman, so I'd say check it out. And again, it doesn't necessarily speak to me, but based on what I saw at that music festival, the guy really does speak to quite a few people that are younger than me. So that's the end of my ballot. Tyler has gone through his 8. He will most likely have some of his nominated. I probably won't have any, and maybe one tops, two tops. Tyler, I want to thank you for joining me again this year on this Grammy Song of the Year ballot. And once again, the Grammy nominations will be released on Friday, November 7th, so just right around the corner.
Yes, and next year's podcast will probably be led. My number one choice is probably going to be "Fate of Ophelia" by Taylor Swift. So we'll see if that happens holds.
We'll see. I'm sure. I'm sure. Even though it's more than a year away, she will have a lock on a Song of the Year nomination for that album.
Hope so.